This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts, Luke Sylvia and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic! What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. Today is March 28th, 2024. Jonathan Osborne here, as always, joined by my co-host, Luke Sylvia. Luke, I am hot after that loss. What is going on?
Yeah, one of the more frustrating losses in a while for a lot of different reasons, and obviously we'll jump into them and break them down here shortly, but not much else to say off of that one.
Yeah, and considering the loss a couple of nights ago to Sacramento, what was that, Saturday night, Sunday night? I don't even remember at this point what night that was.
Saturday.
Coming off of that loss, the fact that this loss is somehow even more frustrating than that is pretty crazy. I mean, Draymond Green gets ejected the first 4 minutes of this game, which should be advantage Orlando, and the Magic just never really could put things together. I don't know if you're watching on YouTube. If you can see my massive ears and how bright red they are literally steaming because I am so furious about the way that this game went, and just about a lot of things in general. Like, I can't help myself. I'm just going to go right off the top here. Seeing the amount of Magic fans or the season ticket holders that continue to sell their tickets to games like these and invite atmospheres like tonight, with so many people going crazy over Steph Curry, even though Jalen Suggs clamped him for 99% of the night, held him to 6 of 18 shooting. Kevin made this point on the postgame live. Why are we doing a bobblehead night on a night that you know almost half of the crowd is going to be the other team's fans? And then seeing Magic fans just drool over Steph Curry after this game with him hitting that shot at the end of the game is just really disgusting. Like, we keep talking about how, like, we want Kia to be like a really good home atmosphere. We keep acting like this, and that is never going to happen. It is just so blatantly gross. 42 wins on the year, and like, you know what? Yeah, I'm just going to sell these Warriors tickets. I'm not going to go to that game. This team is in the thick of the playoff race. I'm still going to sell those tickets. Oh, you know what? Steph Curry's in town. I'm going to be half a Magic fan tonight and half a Steph Curry fan tonight, and just be super happy when he hits a dagger against my freaking team. Like, I'm so over it, bro.
There came a point for me, and I thought that this happened with everybody, maybe, but maybe it was just me and my experience. There was a point where I was all aboard what the Warriors were doing, right? They were at the height of their popularity. The Magic sucked, right? And so I admittedly went to a Magic Warriors game because I was like, oh, the Warriors are in town. They're having a historic season. I'm going to go in and watch the Warriors. My team is not good at all. Then as years go by, and then the Magic make the playoffs for the first time a few years ago, and then they do it again. And there just came a point where I didn't care who was coming to the arena. I wanted to go watch the Magic play. That is the same thing, same case this year. I want to go see the Magic play the Warriors because it is a playoff type atmosphere and a playoff game. I'm not going because I care to see Steph Curry play. And I get it. Steph Curry is the hands down the greatest shooter of all time. He has changed the game in a way that really nobody else has been able to do, aside from a couple different players that have come in and out of this league. So I understand the respect that people have for Steph Curry. But to put, like, I don't know, man, it just feels gross to me to go to these games, like you said, with the stakes that they are, with the Magic having 40-plus wins this year, and in such a crazy tight playoff race. It is gross. And I don't know what the answer is or what it's. I get it. It's Steph Curry. Like, he is legitimately a legend already in the NBA circles and in general in the world. But I don't know. I get it. And maybe I just need to get over it. But it stung for sure.
I get being a fan of his game, fantastic game, right? By all means, like, good person or whatever. But I legitimately don't think there's another player in the history of the NBA that has been able to get away with the way that he chooses to humiliate opponents during games with the celebrations, right? Like the night thing, like running past the entire like front row of Magic fans hitting the night celebration. When you went 6 of 18 in a game and for the most part got shut down by Jalen Suggs on the evening, and your team was like seconds away from losing, and you're fighting for your play-in lives, that's Pat Bev energy. That is something that Patrick Beverley would do. Those of you who criticize Pat Bev for acting the way that he does, Steph Curry's energy at the end of this game is the exact same thing. Do yourself a favor, look in the mirror. That is the exact same thing. I don't care what anybody says. Like, I have Magic fans arguing with me because I'm saying, like, this dude is corny. If that does not piss you off more than anything in the world, I don't understand that way of thinking. A guy coming into your building, doing that, a ton of Warriors fans around. If that just does not absolutely boil you, people are different. People have different way of seeing things. I just cannot see it that way.
Here's the thing too, though. Like, Steph can do whatever he wants in that moment. Like, he shot and made the dagger. If you don't like it, don't let him hit a dagger. Don't like
Fair.
But with that being said, and while I think Steph, like I said, and totally entitled to do whatever he wants after a big shot, whatever, regardless of what has happened the time before. I watched Paolo Banchero hit a game winner against the Detroit Pistons, who had a terrible stinker of a game and only won a game against the Pistons, and was emotional in the interview, and we loved him for it, and his celebration, all that kind of stuff. What I will say, though, is that Steph Curry can do that. He has the right to do it, but at the same time, doing it at your team's arena should rub you the wrong way. Like, this is how rivalries used to begin, where it was like, this player is celebrating all over. This player, like in football, this player stepped on my team's logo and it was disrespectful, and now I hate his guts. This player was doing his iconic celebration in front of a whole row of Magic fans courtside and just overdoing all of it. It should piss you off. In that same vein, he has the right to do it, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it should make you mad as a fan. Your team played like crap. You still were able to claw back into this game at the hands of really Cole Anthony, which we'll talk about, but at the hands of Cole Anthony, you really had no business being in this game, but your defense kept you in it, and you fought till the end, and then you end up losing this game by 8, and it should make you mad. This entire game should infuriate you. But yeah, I just you're going to catch me as a Magic fan hating on Steph Curry, rational or not, way before you're going to see me praising him for hitting the dagger.
Yeah, I don't get it. Like I said, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but that is just something like deep down inside of me that I genuinely cannot understand. Like, just the glazing of a dude who did that. And I find him, like, in general, I find him corny. I find the way that he celebrates corny. I find him to be a front runner. I find him to be a guy that cries when things aren't going his way, and a guy that just completely showboats when things are going his way. I've never appreciated like that type of personality in sports. But whatever, enough about crying about Steph Curry. Got a couple of things to touch on here at the top before we talk about the actual basketball game. So first of all, folks, don't forget, after every single one of these games, producer Kevin is doing our post-game live presented by Rockham over on YouTube. Had a spicy one tonight. He's just as frustrated as the rest of us. So be sure, like, after these games, if you're looking for somebody to recap the game with and just vent with, producer Kevin is the man to do that over there on YouTube. You can find us at youtube.com/The Six Man Show. And coming up this Saturday, we're having our group night where the Magic take on the Memphis Grizzlies. If you were one of the first 60 fans to purchase a ticket to that game, then you got access to the Court of Dreams experience, like the pregame hoop experience that we're doing at Kia from like 1 to 3. if you were one of the first 60, you would have received an email by now. Please go ahead and check your email. It's got all the instructions on where to meet, when to meet, all that kind of stuff. It is a little bit confusing, that email, because I'm getting questions about, hey, can we bring this in? Can we bring a bag? Whatever. The email says that bags are restricted from Kia Center, but that's for the game. I've been reassured that you can bring a small bag with you to the hoops, like the pregame hoops event. So if you're bringing your shoes or a change of clothes or whatever, you can bring a small bag. And I believe they're going to send an email sort of clarifying that. But if you're not part of the pregame hoops event, you bought a ticket with us anyways, or hey, even if you didn't buy a ticket to the game, you just want to come and hang out, roughly from like 4:30 to 6 o'clock, we'll be over at Jam Hot Chicken hanging out, eating. And then at 6 o'clock, we'll head over to Kia Center and we'll sit together for that game. Something else that's going on Saturday at the same time, really, as our hoops event. So if you didn't get access to that, then this is something really cool that you can do before the game. So this Saturday, March 30th, from 2 to 6 at Icon Park, there's going to be the Starry Hoops Madness pop-up event, including Jason Williams, Terrence Ross, Rashard Lewis. Every so often they're going to be doing 3-point contests, and some of the top 3, I think, at the end will be able to have a 3-point contest against Jason Williams, Terrence Ross, or Rashard Lewis. There's going to be free Starry prizes, player autograph signings, photo booths, all that kind of stuff. So make sure that you guys head on down to Icon Park for that event. Again, that's from 2 to 6. And I'm low-key jealous that we're not going to be able to be at that, because it sounds awesome. Next episode of the Six Fan Show, we're going to have a Six Fan Show episode up probably tomorrow as you're listening to this, the 28th. And then Ben is going to be outside of the Grizzlies game on Saturday getting fan reactions as well. So if you want to be part of the Six Fan Show, you'll have the opportunity to do that again this coming Saturday. Now on to the state of the Magic. So far this week, the Magic are 0-1 with a loss to the Warriors on Wednesday. They currently sit 5th in the Eastern Conference with a record of 42-30. They're 15 games back of Boston, 4 games back of Milwaukee, a game and a half back of New York and Cleveland. I believe at this point they're pretty close to 2 games up on the Pacers. If that game is wrapped up, I believe they were losing. Yeah, they lost to the Bulls tonight, so they're up 2 games on Indiana, 3 games up on Miami. And I think now the 76ers lost to the Clippers as well. So we are 3.5 games up on Philadelphia. Coming into tonight, the Magic were 21st in the NBA in offensive rating, 3rd in the NBA in defensive rating, and 13th in net rating. Coming into tonight, post All-Star break, the Magic were 16th in offensive rating, 1st in defensive rating, 5th in net rating. Gary Harris has missed the last game and a half with plantar fasciitis. Caleb Houston has been out as well with a sprained ankle. Not what you want. Definitely need those guys back in the lineup, Luke. But for now, those guys were questionable heading into today's game against the Warriors, and hoping we get them back soon. Now let's actually talk about this Warriors game. Warriors coming off of the second night of a back-to-back. They beat Miami in Miami Tuesday night. And the Magic were on 3 days rest. So Warriors coming off of the back-to-back, Magic with a few days rest. You should have the advantage there, but as most people following this team know, the Magic have been terrible this season with more than 2 days rest. So didn't really know what we were going to get. And for the second straight game in a row, the starters just really came out flat. Luke, you scored 11 points in the first quarter. You scored 37 in the entire first half. Midway through the third quarter, Jamal Mosley decides to just completely switch up the lineup, which I cannot remember him doing another time this season. That wasn't like a move for garbage time, like a complete line change in the middle of a critical game. He goes to the bench lineup of Joe Ingles, Anthony Black, Mo Wagner, Jonathan Isaac, Cole Anthony. And those guys, honestly, that lineup was great tonight. Maybe you wanted a little bit more from a guy like Joe Ingles offensively in the amount of minutes that he played. But the entire bench unit has a positive plus-minus in this game, and the entire starting lineup had a negative plus-minus in this game. The bench unit helps you get back into the game, and the Magic, I believe they got it down to 2 points or 1 point towards the end of the fourth quarter there, and then sort of ill-advised jumper by Paolo Banchero with a minute 31 left. You're down 3. He pulls up and then Curry goes the other way, hits a hook shot. We come around, to the other end of the floor. Cole Anthony misses a turnaround, and then Curry hits the three, which we've already talked about ad nauseum, to put the Warriors up 8 with 34 seconds to go. And this game was over. Luke, really where this game came down to was the offense stunk. Guys just could not hit shots. Warriors have 12 offensive rebounds, which led to 18 second chance points. And then the Magic, I think they missed 11 free throws tonight. They were 10 free throws tonight, 11 of 21 from the free throw line, and in a game that you end up losing by 8. Just a really all-around frustrating loss for the Magic.
I mean, the biggest indicator tonight was the fact that you started 0 of 8 from 3 going into that second quarter, and thankfully Cole Anthony takes the lid off the basket a little bit there, hits his 3, and then you're 1 for 9 from that spot. But yeah, I mean, what else can you say about a quarter where you shoot like 13% and score 11 points? To be honest with you, I know basketball is a game of runs. I have seen it unfold to where the improbable happens and a comeback happens and ensues. I've seen all of that. Despite that, scoring 11 points in the first quarter will just have you feeling like your team is absolutely taking an L. You lose 27-11 in that quarter. And I think my favorite thing that happened tonight was what you were alluding to with the complete line change, where the starters just were not getting it done, and Mosley rips everybody out of the game and puts in the bench. That was my favorite thing from Mosley's standpoint tonight. I also want to say this is maybe will go under the radar because of this game and the result. Jonathan Isaac hit 2 of 3 of his threes tonight, and he also played one of his highest minute totals of the year. So if we're talking in a trending direction, Jonathan Isaac is absolutely still trending upwards in terms of minutes, offensive production. We'll take 2 of 3. I'm actually comfortable with Jonathan Isaac getting the ball from the perimeter now, trusting that he can either get his own shot or make a 3. He had there was a time, I don't think he even ended up getting the ball, but he was in the corner tonight near the end. That man was just clapping his hands. Give me the ball. Give me the ball. And he was open, would have absolutely taken the shot if it got to him. But I just love the confidence he's playing with. We talked about it last episode, but I just keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. And with Jonathan Isaac, it's still trending upward. He is going to be huge going into a playoff series. So I did want to highlight that before we get back to just how depressing this game was. But shout out to Jonathan Isaac.
Yeah, shout out to J.I. Like you mentioned, shout out to Cole. 26 points, 10 of 17 from the floor, almost 60% on the game. 7 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, a block. Cole was awesome. This is the second straight game where if the bench doesn't go crazy, last game it was Jonathan Isaac. Tonight it was Cole Anthony, where if the bench doesn't go crazy, like you probably lose this game by 20 or 30, even though Golden State only puts up 101 points. The defense for the most part was fine. Like Jalen Suggs didn't have a great offensive game. He had a terrible offensive game, as a matter of fact, 1 of 7 from behind the arc. But the defense that he played on Steph Curry, again, Steph shot 6 of 18. He missed a couple of good looks. But for the most part, like Jalen made Steph work for every little thing tonight. Paolo and Franz, like 2 of their worst games collectively that I can remember. One of Paolo's worst games of the season for sure. 15 points. He was 5 of 17 from the floor, 1 of 7 from behind the arc, 4 of 7 from the free throw line, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 block, 4 turnovers. Just especially from like a decision-making standpoint tonight, like almost every shot that he got, the Warriors were like, yeah, go ahead, take that. Like, you want to take a 3, go for it. You want to take a 20-footer, a mid-range with 2 guys in your face, go for it. And he was just sort of taking that, the entire night. Now, is it, hey, you want him to be a little bit more aggressive and getting to the rim? Do you want him to sort of take what the defense is giving you? To a certain extent, but it was just pretty obvious that like didn't have it offensively tonight. And then the second straight game, late in the game, where you really need a basket that doesn't need to be a 3, he takes that three, at the end of the game, which was like the final, nail in the coffin, it felt like. And then Franz, 14 points, 6 of 14 from the floor, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, an assist, a steal. Just, I don't know. I have no words for what happened tonight. Like, there's just no excuse. Like, your two absolute best guys in a game of this magnitude against a very experienced Warriors team who their back is to the ropes. They needed a win tonight. They were a half game up, I believe, on the Rockets, behind them in the standings for the final play-in spot. And you had to know that they were going to come out and like give you their best effort. As a matter of fact, I believe Wendell Carter Jr. said so either earlier today or the day before, like just talking about how important the game was. Yeah, Sean Green, he tweeted out, when was this? Yesterday. He said, the Warriors understand they got to win this game tomorrow. We understand that they're going to come in here and do whatever they have to get the dub tomorrow. So again, we're talking about a game where you understand the stakes, you understand the implications, you understand the opponent's motivation coming into the game, and the starters just lay a complete egg. I don't know what else to say. They just were not good enough, and it just was so frustrating to watch them squander this game away.
Speaking of frustrating, I want to highlight probably the most frustrating play of the game for me. There's 2 minutes left in the game, Jonathan. The Magic have done a great job cutting this lead to 1. And quite frankly, I texted this to you guys earlier in the fourth quarter, but it just felt like when we were finally scoring, we weren't getting stops on the other end, and the game felt impossible. The comeback felt impossible to me. The Magic finally get it to be a 1-point game with about 2 minutes and 15 seconds left. It's a 1-point game. Cole Anthony gets a pick and roll with Paolo Banchero. Paolo Banchero sets the screen with the sole purpose of switching Gary Payton onto him. And he gets him, essentially posts him up, gets position, seals, and posts him up at the free throw line. And at this point, there's already only like 8 seconds left on the shot clock, Jonathan. And he proceeds to kind of size him up. Like, he turns around, he's triple threat looking at him, goes back to backing him down. Few seconds left, and there's like 1.5 seconds left, and he hits a cutting Jalen Suggs, who admittedly Suggs should have just tried to go up with it and been a little bit more aware. But Paolo absolutely in that situation has to act faster. In that situation, instead of passing a grenade to Jalen Suggs there at the end of the shot clock, just try to hit a turnaround jumper at that point. You have Gary Payton on you. He is in a low defensive stance because you're posting him up. So just turn around and shoot over him. You love the shot. Like, Paolo as a player loves a turnaround jumper. Why did he try to get Jalen to bail him out there? You dribbled it down from like 8 seconds to 1.5. Just do something. Take the shot. Be the guy, as you've been so many times this year, but you're up by 1. You finally get it. And then from that point on, Jonathan, the game just becomes effectively over. The Warriors then are able to go down, get a bucket. Franz Wagner ends that play on the ground. Like, Warriors go up by 3, 96-93, and then the rest is history. You don't score again the rest of the game. So I really think the game was lost on that. And it sucks, but that just can't be what happens. That's not how that offensive possession should have played out from Paolo Banchero. I don't know.
The other issue that I had with this game is as great of a move as it was from Mosley to have that line change in the middle of the third quarter. That happened around like the 6.5 minute mark, somewhere around there. Cole Anthony plays the rest of this game, plays like 18 straight minutes down the stretch. Joe Ingles plays like 12, 13, 14 straight minutes in this game. Like, what are we doing with Joe Ingles out there for that long? And Mosley waited until a play where Cole got switched on to Wiggins, and Wiggins just rises up over the top of him and hits the floater from the free throw line, and then decides to bring Jalen back in the game. regardless of Jalen like struggling earlier in the game, like, from like shooting the ball, especially from deep, how many times does this kid have to prove that you put him on the floor, he's going to make winning plays? And especially like when Steph was brought in and Mosley waited probably like another minute or two to bring Jalen back in. I didn't understand that at all. Because who are you putting on Steph? Cole Anthony? Joe Ingles? Like you're just asking to get killed in the last couple of minutes there with no Jalen Suggs. And I thought Cole was fine. Like Cole didn't have any like drastic, mistakes. Like he missed that, turnaround, but the game was pretty much over. It felt like at that point. But I just don't agree with like the thinking behind leaving a guy out there for like 18 minutes. Especially what is Joe Ingles, like 37 years old, playing like 14 straight minutes? It just doesn't make any sense to me at all. I didn't agree with that. Just felt like you waited a bit too long. And like Jalen checks in and like 40 seconds later hits the three to cut the lead to 3. Like, I don't know, man. Like it was like riding the hot hand for too long. And it was obvious in the moment. We didn't make the adjustment. Is it the reason that you lost the game? Probably not. But it was just like everybody seems to understand like what's going on right now. Why are we not getting away from this? Like, yeah, they got you back into the game. That's great. And if those guys had only played like a 6 or 7 minute stretch, usually if this is the time that you make those subs, sure, ride those guys another 2 or 3 minutes, not an extra 10 minutes. That was a pretty interesting decision from Jamal Mosley on his part. Not my part finding it interesting, but it's just super frustrating loss, like every way you look at it.
It's not the first time Mosley tends to do this, but last season he had like one stretch where he played the entire unit that got him back into the game for 15 minutes straight, or 16 minutes straight too. It's a trend, and it's something he believes in, and I genuinely think it's a coaching philosophy. But whatever, man. You lost this game in the first quarter, and you're just trying anything and everything to get back into the game. It is nothing short of a miracle. You were down what you were down at halftime. What was it, like 8 or something like that? And it was nothing short of a miracle that you got this game to a 1-point difference with a couple minutes left. But yeah, then like I said, you just go scoreless the final like 2.5. So that was unfortunate. Frustrating game all around. There's nothing really else to say. The Magic really did lose this game at the free throw line. You look at everything else, and everything else screams pretty equal. The Warriors don't shoot the ball well. They make 10 threes. You make 10 threes. Rebounding is where you definitely got killed. That's a big difference. Points in the paint, you only scored 48. But the biggest thing for me was the free throws and the pivotal offensive rebounds you gave up. Yes, you did a good job with having 10 offensive rebounds, but you gave up 12. And you got to the free throw line 8 more times than the Warriors, but you hit the same amount of free throws. In no universe should you be shooting 52.5% from the free throw line on 21 attempts. So that you could argue that lost you the game, the rebounding, lack of getting to the paint and making your shots in the paint. 48 points, you should be scoring like 55 plus against the Golden State Warriors in the paint. So I don't think they took advantage where they could have tonight. It just stinks. It especially stinks going into Friday where you're playing a Clippers team who's been nothing short of incredible this year.
Another thing is just like the last 2 games, like it's a little bit concerning the way that 2 straight big games, the starting unit as a whole has just come out and laid an egg. And yeah, like you said, it's a miracle that you were down 8 at halftime. Like the miracle is Cole Anthony. Mm-hmm. Without Cole Anthony and Jonathan Isaac in these last 2 games, the team's just a complete no-show. And as good as like the bench unit has been all year, bench unit being good doesn't do anything if Franz is a -13, Paolo's a -24, Wendell's a -16, Jalen Suggs is a -22. That can't happen. Like if the starting unit has to play like close to even, maybe 4 or 5 points below. That's that range where I feel pretty good. Like, okay, the bench unit's going to come in, and by the time they're done, we're going to have a 4 or 5 point lead here. And then maybe the starters sort of snap out of whatever funk they're in, and we get cooking. And that point just never came tonight. Really, really upsetting. Okay, enough about that. Let's go ahead and give a quick shout out to our patrons, the folks that help make each and every episode possible. If you would like to join our Patreon community, you can find us at patreon.com/the6man-show. We give a special shout out to our Hall of Fame and Elite tier patrons each and every episode. I'm going to go ahead and do that now, starting with the Court Cousins, Drew Gooden, Armin, Carson Tulo, Ellis, Jonathan Borges, Normal, Magic Player History, Gabe Gaines, Wiffle, Michael Martin, Jamel Miller, Michael Salapunk, Donkey Punch, Dave, Powell, Francis Warren, Pierre A., Dylan Holden, Mr. Mikey, Eduardo Sanchez, Daniel, Dodo 15, Bobby Skinner, Goody 93, Teddy Sylvia, Eric Lopez, Fuchsia, Bill Fulton, Edmund Lagone, Jose Esquilin, Caleb Pete, Cannibalism, Time Mr. TV, ESPN Really Sucks, Gear 95, Shred, Junior Bruce, Half Rican, Shahin 177, Bobby the Don, Himlo, Ben Himro, Improv 221, Ray Pastrana, Magic Kid 714, Mysterious Mosley, Victor Cologne, Irish Magic Mike, Austin Lampy, Random Hustle, Only Franz, Maria, Keith Walsh, Fritz, Currency Kev, Bruv, Sal, Case and Green, Santi Leon, Kane Eckler, The Distract, Ahmad Timsa, Chantu, Tom Gadsden, Dead Air, Richard Tuttle, Jeremiah Quintero, Magic Wire, Debo 1980, Magic Matt, Michael Thompson, Mama Richmond, Next Napa, What's Up Playoffs 2024, and Dylan Fay. A big shout out to all of our patrons. Again, you can find us at patreon.com/the6man-show.
Jonathan, let's talk about one of the big reasons I'm excited about Saturday and that group event going on. We are going to Jam Hot Chicken, that meetup that you mentioned earlier, located at 400 West New England Avenue, Suite 13 in Hannibal Square, Winter Park. I already know I'm getting myself the Sando, mild heat, enjoyable but still spicy. The Jam Hot Chicken Sando is the truth, and I'm pumped to try it then. You guys can, if you haven't heard of Jam Hot Chicken or you don't follow them yet on social media, you go to @JamHotChicken on all of their social media. Follow them there. Also can go online. You can order ahead online. Music playlists, menu, everything. It's jamhotchickenfl.com. Go check them out. Let them know we sent you, and get yourself a beautiful, beautiful chicken sando.
Looking forward to it. We're having it on Saturday.
Exactly.
I legitimately cannot wait for that. All right, Luke, I wanted to take a couple of minutes here, and I just want to ask a question, like what to do? Like what to do, what are we going to do? A few question marks in this one. Number one, Markelle Fultz getting the start. No Gary Harris. Caleb Houston was listed as available before the game tonight. Then didn't play. I don't know if perhaps he was ruled out shortly before the game started, even though he was listed as available early in the day. I was getting kiddos ready for bedtime right before tip. But yeah, Markelle Fultz in the starting lineup plays 16 minutes tonight. After that line change in the second half, he didn't see another minute the rest of the night. Anthony Black with 15 minutes tonight. So Markelle in 16 minutes, 4 points, 1 rebound, a block, a steal. Anthony Black in 15 minutes, 6 points, 1 of 2 from behind the arc, 1 rebound, and an assist. I'm just at the point, you and I have talked about this. If Markelle Fultz is getting played off the floor in regular season games against Golden State Warriors, what do we think is going to happen in a playoff series versus the Cavs or the Knicks or the Pacers or the Heat or one of these other teams? And I still don't understand at this point what we are doing with Markelle Fultz, because the evidence is clear. The writing is on the wall for everybody. But after a guy who has not started in weeks, seemingly, and you have preached all year about how certain guys have been starting when other guys are hurt because you don't want to disrupt both lineups. No Gary Harris tonight. You start Markelle Fultz, which is already a disruption to the starting lineup, and now it's a disruption to the bench unit as well. What are we doing here?
I think Jamal Mosley might be asking himself the same thing. And what I mean by that is like Caleb Houston was available tonight. He only missed a game or two. And he didn't see the floor. But he was starting recently. Before he got injured, he was in the starting lineup. And while I agree Caleb Houston shouldn't be in your starting lineup, I just think you've got to search for better. Like,
are we sure about that over Markelle? Like generally speaking, I agree with you. But I absolutely would have taken Caleb Houston in the starting lineup tonight over Markelle.
They're both rough watches, to be honest with you. I don't know. I don't know if I think it's very close, which is absolutely crazy to say that we're at this point with him, with Fultz. And I feel like we do a lot of this, and maybe it is not so much dogging Markelle Fultz as it is just simply not understanding. Like, we just see the production on the court. We see the shot diet. He had some video today. I think it might have been Jason Beatty of Orlando Sentinel. Post some videos of him shooting corner threes with, was it Anthony Black? Maybe. Regardless, Markelle Fultz was shooting threes in said video, and I get it. Practice videos, typically, we don't put any stock into it because you shouldn't. Shooting wide open in an arena, in a gym, doesn't mean you're a shooter. Markelle Fultz in this, I believe he shot 2 threes. He made both of them. And genuinely, I didn't know, because he hasn't taken threes recently. I didn't know if he just like can't get the ball to the basket, or what the reason is and why he hasn't been shooting them when he's open. But yet in practice, you're shooting corner threes. And you're making them for what it's worth. But like, can you not give me a wide open 3 attempt? I just didn't understand. I thought it was interesting that he is taking those threes in practice, and I don't know if he's just trying to get back to form to where he can shoot the open 3 or feels confident enough. I don't know. Regardless, that's the biggest qualm with him. I feel like there's also been a lapse defensively, or a decline as well. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm to the point where I'm like, is it because he makes $17 million? Is that what we're doing? Like, is it an optics thing? And also an understanding of like Anthony Black will get his eventually. That's all that I've got at this point, Jonathan. There's nothing else to say. The guy, you pull him and that line change in the third quarter, and then he doesn't even see the court again. Plays 16 minutes. What starter plays 16 minutes? That tells me that I don't know. What I do know is that it just feels like he is not part of the future of this team because of the low minutes and just how bad it's been. I really am at a loss when it comes to him and what they're doing. We're 9 games, whatever it is, away from 10 games away from the playoffs, and we're still figuring it out. Wendell Carter Jr. plays 19 minutes tonight too, by the way.
J.I. with 24.
J.I. with 24, one of his highest of the season. So I think
that's a perfect segue, because that's sort of where I wanted to go next. But like, for me, like, everybody sees that Markelle is in the future, and he's not the present either. Like, he's just not producing. He's not making nearly the impact that like his minutes and role at this time would tell you, and what other fans would tell you it is. It just isn't. Like, just watch the games. Steph Curry is like 25 feet away almost, it felt like tonight, from Markelle Fultz. Markelle Fultz just standing on the wing. Who is that helping? It's not helping anybody. You and I were texting before the game, and we saw Markelle was going to start, and we're like, we're just going to be watching Markelle stand in the corner tonight. And for the majority of the time on the floor, that's exactly what it was. I just don't know who that is helping.
I don't
when
know.
Anthony Black, like, and I'm not trying to be like, oh my gosh, Anthony Black is just the greatest guy ever. But to me, he's undoubtedly the better option right now. I don't understand people that don't see that. And I'm at a loss. Let's go to Markel and not Markel. Let's go to Wendell and Jonathan Isaac, because again, Wendell 18 minutes 45 seconds tonight. Same thing, gets pulled in that unit and that line change in the second half. I don't believe he saw the floor again after that. And Jonathan Isaac, 24 minutes 27 seconds tonight. Start JI. That's how I feel. Start JI. You want to figure out like the platoon or the committee of your backup five? That's fine. You want to play Mo Wagner 20 minutes and you want to play Wendell at 20 minutes and you want to figure out how that's going to work rotationally with the 4 and the 5. I don't care. Jonathan Isaac should be starting these games. The Magic desperately need to start getting out to better starts in these games, and the Magic are just overall better with Jonathan Isaac at the 5. Defensively, and it feels offensively as well.
Yeah.
Like J.I. is a legitimate lob threat. It doesn't always feel like Wendell is. And like the energy, Wendell tonight, 18 minutes, 6 rebounds. I don't even want to go back through the game log, but like we used to be able to count on Wendell to be a double-double machine this year, 11.2.7 rebounds. Just doesn't seem like the same guy. I'm ready to start JI. That's where I am. The Magic probably aren't, but that's a different story.
I think that sure they aren't, but they're gonna be. Listen, man, all I need to see is the fact that he closes games.
It has been closing games for like 2 months.
That's what I'm saying. I do think it has something to do with the fact that JI just like after 7 minutes is just completely gassed typically. And that plays a huge part. You start him and all of a sudden he's playing the first 6-7 minutes of the quarter. I don't know. I think they want to start him. I do. But there's something to not wanting to shake up the locker room maybe when it comes to Dell and Kell, who have been starters on this team for X amount of years. And it's I don't agree with it necessarily, but I just think that eventually we are going to see Jonathan Isaac starting. You can't. I was talking with Fazan about this today. I was like, man, what would Jonathan Isaac be if never injured? It's obviously the age-old question. It's like, would he be the second option or the third option on this team?
You wouldn't have Franz Wagner or Paolo Banchero on this team.
Yeah, because he does impact winning that much, and everyone sees it. You watch one Magic game, you see it. So J.I., if he's just going to, obviously, if he's going to be a lead on the defensive end, which we foresee happening still, he's going to be a lead on the defensive end, and he's able to give you just a little bit offensively, but also he can be a reliable three-point shooter. He has a lob threat, like you said. I don't think we see it this year. I don't think we see it in a playoff game. I think it'll be next season. And it's crazy that we're already to the point where we can kind of start thinking about next season a little bit.
Yeah, he just seems to have like better touch around the rim, like comparatively to Wendell. Obviously, like gives you a true rim protector. Can do a little bit more off the dribble, it feels like, than Wendell. Although Wendell had a really nice instant tonight where I think he went to run like a dribble handoff with Paolo and just took it to the rim. Probably should have been a foul, but it wasn't, of course. Refs were giving Magic like every call in the book the first few minutes. Mm-hmm. And then the other like 40 minutes of this game, like it completely went the other way. They're probably not ready to start JI. I do think, locker room dynamics plays a part as well. But like, how long are we going to worry about like boo-boos and feelings getting hurt versus like winning basketball games? Like the chemistry is great. It's not always going to be this great. That's the reality. Guys are going to have to get moved. Other guys are going to have to come in. Guys maybe with like a little bit more edge to them. That's what wins you titles, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at that. But like, it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows, and we all love each other so much. I love that about this team. I really, really do. But these are all professionals. These are grown men, and they have to understand, like, more than anything, this is about winning. And at this point in the year, if all these guys say, like, oh, we're about winning, we love each other so much, then you should be happy for some of these guys getting more of an opportunity. You should be happy for the rest of your teammates when that leads to winning. So, like, that's my thing. Like, hey, we talk about this culture and how all everybody wants to do is win. Then let's make the moves that will help this team win. And I think those are two of the moves that the Magic can make, like, immediately and really impact this team. Like, should Anthony Black be starting? No, but ideally you want Gary Harris healthy starting next to Jalen Suggs right now, because that lineup has been really good. But I just don't see a need for Markelle really to be playing the minutes that he's playing right now. And Wendell is being taken out for closing minutes a lot of times anyway, and this team is just so much better with Jonathan Isaac on the floor. It's like, hey, let's make these moves. I know with J.I. it's tough because of the minutes, but like it just feels like even if he's the first guy out of the lineup to start the game, this team just desperately needs something right now to get off to better starts.
I think I'll be to the point where I'm like, this team has no excuse but to start him at this point. That I will get to that point if, let's say, by some miracle, in Friday's game against the Clippers, he plays 20 minutes. And then he plays in the back-to-back, but not only plays in the back-to-back against the Grizzlies, but he plays 18 to 20 minutes in a back-to-back. That's when I'm like, okay, there's no reason that you guys can't start this guy, because clearly he is going to be capable to give you 25 minutes a game. We're almost there. And if you can play him back-to-back nights on 18 to 20 minutes a game, you can start him and let him play 25 regularly. So I don't know when that will happen. But that's when I will finally be ready to say that this team has no excuse but to start him.
I agree. All right. Big games coming up. Friday for me now is like a must win. We talked about like the Pelicans, Sacramento, like those two games you need to split there, or really this 4-game stretch, but you've already split that part of it. So now you need to find a way to split this Warriors Clippers. You have to win that game. And then you have to win Saturday as well against the Grizzlies. Like I know they're getting some guys back, but still missing like a lot of their best pieces. So you have to find a way to win these next couple of games here. Yes, you have a little bit of space between you and Indiana and Philadelphia and Miami, but like Cleveland is sitting right there. New York is sitting right there above you at 3 and 4. You can still make those moves. And losing 2 games in a row, like, when was the last time the Magic lost 3 games in a row? It was the middle of January. It's been 2+ months since you've lost 3 games in a row. This is not the time of year that you want to do that. So you have to come out Friday night, get that win against LA. You have to come out Saturday and get that win against the Grizzlies. Looking at the Clippers, they're 4-6 in their last 10. Like, they won tonight. Like at the buzzer over Philadelphia on a controversial call, or no call, I should say. You just have to find a way to win these games, the next couple.
Yeah, the last thing I want to add real quick with Jonathan Isaac, I do fear that I don't expect, like I said, I don't expect that he's starting necessarily soon. I think it should happen, but at the same time, I would be surprised because of the fact that really a big part of Mosley's thinking has been continuity. And the lineup of Suggs, Gary Harris, Franz, J.I., Paolo has played a total of 13 possessions together this year. So from a chemistry standpoint, I just don't know that he will buy into that and let J.I. start.
I mean, we're starting Markelle Fultz with 11 games to go. I mean, what? Screw it. What's it matter?
Yeah,
like let's get weird, and let's make a move that, like, to the general consensus makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's all I got. I've vented all that I can. I still have Magic fans coming at me on Twitter for my criticisms of Steph Curry. Genuinely, I'm just at a loss for words. I don't understand it at all.
He's the greatest shooter of all time. You can't make fun of him or roast him or be mad at him.
Yeah, I don't get it. And people are like, oh, well, if it was a player on your team, you'd love it. Well, yeah, if a guy won me 4 titles, yeah, I probably would love it. But I guarantee you, I still would not agree with the amount that he goes like celebrating. It's just that's something that's bothered me for years. But that's neither here nor there. You all are entitled to feel the way that you feel. I promise you're not changing my mind. So just don't waste your breath. But I think that's going to do it for this one. Big weekend coming up. A lot of fun. This group night. Can't wait to play on the Kia Center floor. Can't wait to have some Jam Hot Chicken with you all. Please make sure that you come through, support local business, support our friends over at Jam Hot Chicken. Support the Post Game Live presented by Rock'em on YouTube after every single Magic game. And that's going to ramp up in the playoffs. Like we said, Post Game Live after every playoff game. 6-man show episode after every playoff game. We're getting ready for this playoff run. Looking forward to it. Luke, anything else before I close this out?
No, good to go.
All right. For Luke Sylvia, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You all have been listening to the 6-Man Show, and we will catch you guys next time. See ya.
Thanks for listening to the 6th Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at 6th Man Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic!